Hi everyone, my name is Ierie and this is Reminisce with This, where I take a little time each day of the week to go ahead and sit and reminisce with you on all of the different hobbies, interests, and collections that I have obtained, but also the wonderful memories I've made along the way with some amazing people and places that I've been able to get to. Today is Shiny New Things Saturday, and I'm so excited for this. I've been waiting for this since it was talked about being released. It is the Pokemon Select Blastoise. This is a fully articulated figure. I absolutely have already been tinkering around with it out of the package from all of the different points of articulation. I absolutely am so excited to add this into my collection. It will be replacing the Blastoise figure that I've had since I was a kid in my primary big collection where the Venusaur and Charizard are at up here. And I've had this Blastoise in my collection for quite some time, which of course is going to be, I want to say this came out, 2007 now. It is the 2007's Jax Blastoise. Now, it does have sound effects and stuff like that, but I had taken the batteries out quite some time ago. But this is basically all that it really did. And of course, as well, the hydro cannons lit up, but that's been about it. But this Blastoise has, as you can see in comparison, this one's a chunky boy. This one is definitely a little smaller, as you know, it's great for what it was. It's great the fact that I had this Blastoise for all of the years and all of the different plays and things like that that I was able to enjoy from my childhood to all of the years throughout. As you know, I am a adult collector and I absolutely still have those moments where I play with my figures and I pose them and I have the most fun with them, as it brings me back to a little bit more of a simpler time, a simpler moment, and to kind of just de-stress from the world around me and kind of just get into a state of imagination. Now, call me childish, I really don't care, as this brings me joy. And if I tap into a little bit of my inner child to enjoy the simplicities in life where I'm not taking things so seriously, then, I don't mind. It's something that I really do enjoy. And like I said, I love getting these new iterations of these figures because it brings me back to where I started to where I'm at now. And of course, I have a lot of the Tomy Blastoise figures. That's really where it started, a lot of those littler figures and things like that. But this big Blastoise is one that I've had for many a journey and many a play and many stories that I've created based off of this particular figure. From the many times that I used it for my, different storylines that were following the TV show or the movies. And I nicknamed this particular Blastoise figure after Pokemon the first movie. So this Blastoise specifically is Shell Shocker. And it's been awesome to have this a part of my collection, but I am super excited now to go ahead and add this bigger Blastoise to my collection and just have them in the best way, because this is awesome. It really is. It just brings me to a point of being so excited to see all of these bigger figures, as there was only a few over the years, the bigger figures that Tomy would release or some that Jax would release here and there. But these Pokemon Select figures definitely are amazing. I love them. I love that they are just so unique in their own way. They're articulated, so you get a lot more of the dynamic poses, which, don't get me wrong, they are children's toys, but for collectors like myself that enjoy the figures being able to be posed and, switched around and whatnot, it really does bring a lot of possibilities of what and how we can add them to our collection. So yeah, I really like this a lot. the articulation, the head kind of moves up and down. Of course, with the shell here kind of hinders the looking down so much. But if you really wanted it to, you probably could get this Blastoise in a really good, like, you know, swimming through the water pose, as his head does look up quite some. His head does only look up down kind of where it was originally at. Its mouth does have like a mouth hinge here, and then of course it does have the teetering back and forth. It does have some really great articulation here with that, and I absolutely love that. The hydro cannons on both sides, they are very articulated in ways that it's just, you know, I absolutely love that. And then, of course, his arms have 3 different points of articulation here, right? So you can kind of get it all, you know, moving in different ways, and it's just awesome. And then each finger has its own articulation as well, so you can kind of really get them at different points where you can have them, you know, if he's grabbing something, or, you know, in an attack pose or something of the sorts, but you can really get them all articulated, and I think that's stellar. I think that's super awesome. And the legs here, they have a little bit of that articulation here. You can kick out pretty far, honestly, for a Blastoise in a shell. And then his feet have a little bit of a it kind of moves back and forth, not too much, but still, you know, the legs do a lot more of that work, where, you know, the feet here, the ankle pivot, if you will, they have just very minimally. And then, of course, last but not least, you got the tail that moves around and it grooves. So I really think this is a stellar figure for what it is. It does come with a base. Now, I don't necessarily think this Blastoise necessarily needs the base to stand up, because it's a big chunky figure. But say you wanted your Blastoise to kind of look like it is, you know, going in the water or whatever, or like, you know, you can kind of have it posed where it's like riding a wave, or however you're going to have it displayed, because there are a lot of possibilities here where you can have Blastoise kind of, you know, be posed in ways that like make your collection come to life a little bit. Now, it is a bit chunkier here as a figure, so you kind of have to toggle with the stand here to kind of really get it, you know, off that the ground here, if you will. But still, nonetheless, this is an awesome figure. I think for what it is, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. I absolutely love these figures. Now, I would absolutely love to see a Venusaur in this. The only other Venusaurs that have come out, it was that it was not necessarily like this, so it's not as super articulated. It's the Venusaur that I have talked about in one of my previous videos. It is an awesome Venusaur figure. It does have minimal posability, but I would absolutely love the one made by, I mean, it is by the same company, Jazzwares, but I would love to see an articulated Venusaur. I would love to have an articulated Meganium and Feraligatr. I would love to see more of the first 2 generations. I would love to see so many different Pokemon start to come into this. You know, they have been re-releasing some figures that maybe people haven't been able to get yet. And I absolutely love that, because, you know, I know over the years some people may have missed opportunities to get these figures. And for them being, honestly, relatively a really great price for what it is, $19.99 for a super big and articulated figure is something that you don't really see too much these days. You know, I can even attest to this with my Marvel Legends. They started off relatively cheap for when, you know, I was picking them up by, you know, the handful, if you will, at $20 a pop, but now they're anywhere from $25 to $30 a piece, and that's just at the starting. You're not looking at the super double packs and things like that, where some of them could be ranging into $70, $80 and getting higher up there. But for the Pokemon, ever since Pokemon Select started, the figures have been $19.99, and after tax, you're looking at 21 and some change, at least from all the times that I've purchased them. And for what it is, it's honestly a really stellar figure. I do have quite a few of the Pokemon Select figures, and I'm happy to add another one into my collection. This Blastoise is spectacular, and I just absolutely love it. You know, again, I would love to see other Pokemon being made. And, you know, if they're continuing to re-release figures, it would be cool to have like a series just based off of the re-released figures, where the series continues to bring out new ones, because that's how they kind of have them each time, is by series. So series, let's just say 7, right? Sometimes they'll have 1 new figure with 3 re-releases, or 2 new figures with 2 re-releases. It would be cool for them to honestly do a series of re-releases, while side by side they're doing a series of new figures. So those that are coming out, that have already come out, the new collectors or collectors that have missed them can gain them, but at the same time getting new figures at the same time for the people that have already have those. And you know, it kind of intertwines, where collectors now can get the newer ones while getting the old ones for their new collection, or whatever may it be. But you know, having 1 or 2 new figures out every now and again, every, you know, year or so, or however many months they bring them out, is kind of sometimes a little lackluster. It's kind of like waiting a long period of time for a new season of a TV show to come out, and it ends, and then you're waiting 2 years just to get a new season. It's kind of like that in a sense for that feeling. But overall, again, I absolutely love these Select figures. So even with all of that, I'm happy to still wait for the figures when they do come. I'm happy to have these figures for what they are, and to have them be in my collection, as now I get to place this Blastoise up in that top shelf, and have this Blastoise on the lower shelf right behind me, right below it, with all of the other figures that I hold on to so dearly. And it just is, it's kind of where I started to where I'm at, and how great this journey is. It's like different versions of myself coming together, and in so many wonderful ways. And again, this Blastoise figure is a chunky figure. It's a little heavier than this one that is, you know, relatively lightweight compared to this one here. And I absolutely think it's awesome. I really, really do. I am excited to see what they keep coming out with. You know, the way that they're cultivating these types of figures is just awesome. It's right next, like kind of side by side with their battle figures, the bigger ones, which of course that's where the Venusaur comes from, that's where the Gyarados comes from, and the Dragonite. Those are the ones that I particularly have, and of course the Metagross. Now, it would be great to have more of those figures in a more of the Select style, which is of course going to be that fully articulated, where a lot of those others are a little hindered on just exactly what they are, as they're quite big. But I know that they can come out with these figures, right? I have seen it with, for instance, the Gyarados, right? Well, we've seen that with the Rayquaza. We know that they can definitely come out with the Gyarados that's articulated just as much as the Rayquaza is. And I'm excited to see what they come out with, you know, from the legendary birds to the legendary dogs to Mewtwo and a couple other of the Pokemon that have been coming out. I think I've only missed maybe one or two of them since then. And sometimes it just comes down to if I really want that Pokemon or not. And I'm happy that for what it is, I'm not missing out on the ones that I don't need or I don't want per se. Now, some of them I would like to get my hands on. The Lucario is the next one that I really have been itching to get. But other than that, I really just love these figures. I love the way that they are creating them. They're crafted so well that they really do add a lot of character into your collection based off of the different posability that you can get into them. It's kind of like growing up as a kid where I used to think like it would be so cool to have this figure, to be able to move it around and pose it, primarily from my Tomy figure collection, where I'm like, it would be so cool to be able to move this Blastoise or that one or however what it may be for battling poses or battling dynamic, you know, pictures or things like that, where now I have them, and I'm excited to see what I can do with it. I think it'll be a lot of fun to, you know, pose them around with some other figures from other collections and things like that, and see all about what this future is going to hold for Pokemon Select. Like I said, at $20 a pop, you're really not in a financial like, it's not going to break your bank, at least for myself. And the only thing that I would say would probably be the problem with it, for the most part, Target does keep them quite stocked, but at the same time, some of them are harder to find. Now, I did just recently get the Garchomp as well, and that one eluded me for such a long time. I'm going to be opening that at some point on Shiny New Thing Saturday, but I could not wait for this Blastoise, and I did get that Garchomp after, like I said, it eluded me because it only was in a 2-pack with a Charizard figure, and at that price point, it was like, I want to say $50 or $60, and I was like, I'm not itching to have the Charizard. And then, of course, on the secondary market, because they were only releasing that 2-pack, the Garchomp was going for 3 times the amount of that as what they normally would, so I just couldn't bring myself to doing so. But then I found that then they did the re-release, like I said, and I was able to, you know, cop that figure. So I'm excited for that one next. Though I think next week I have other figures that I would like to open, so it may not be Garchomp next week, but you'll have to stay tuned to see what else I got, because there are a couple other figures that I did just recently get as well, and I'm super excited to get into them. There's also a few figures that I have yet to open from holding on to them for quite some time, and with Shiny New Thing Saturday, there's all kinds of things that I have in store. I have a figure from, I want to say like 2002, 2003, maybe 2004, one of those time periods, and I'm in debate if I should open or not. It's a Power Ranger figure, but there are quite some figures that I would love to absolutely sit here and open. So come back every Saturday for Shiny New Thing Saturday, as it's a new thing for my collection. May not be necessarily fully new to me, but it's something new to add and open up with you guys. So thank you for letting me ramble on about this. I think that at a price point of $20, I think it's well worth it to go ahead and cop this Blastoise if you see it on the shelf, and if you really tickles your fancy, I think why not? If you feel that it would be a great placeholder for a portion of your collection, then I think you should definitely get this and, you know, pose it up and have it in all kinds of ways, like I have this particular way right now of its pose. I am kind of in debate if I want to even have this pose the way that I would love to have it up there, but we'll see. So with that being said, though, thank you for sitting with me and hanging out regarding this new figure. I will be posting probably tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure, as Sundays going into Monday tend to be my longest days, because I go into work and then I have physical therapy directly right after work on Mondays. So Sundays are the days that I really need the most rest before my appointment. So I may only do silver lining Sundays, like maybe once a month or something like that. I'm trying to balance out exactly how I want to really find my niche within this channel, and I don't want to burn myself out by any means, as I do release a new video every day. And I feel that Sundays I might just do a silver lining Sunday once a month, and instead of, you know, trying to do it every month, like every Sunday. And I know originally I said I was going to do the last Sunday of the month to kind of just rest and whatnot, but I'm thinking that maybe the last Sunday is when I do post the video. I'm still trying to like really work that out and see how I can, you know, manage all of this, and if that's going to be something that is going to be doable. But I definitely would love to find my craft in a way where I'm not going to get burnt out and not enjoy this, as I really have been enjoying it. So I'm not entirely sure if I'll have a video up for tomorrow, so just if you do look out for that. The chances of me putting out a video tomorrow are probably not 100% just yet. But for right now, I really am excited to have this as part of my collection, and I really appreciate you for hanging out with me. And yeah, I can't wait to see what I open for Mystery Moment Monday and some new trading cards, where I definitely hope that my new trading cards will be here, but we will see. So if not, I'll figure something out. But in the meantime, I will catch y'all on the next one. I can't say tomorrow because I'm not entirely sure that it's going to be tomorrow. But I just got to say again, thank you so much for spending time with me. And per usual, if you have not been told you are loved, cherished, and or cared about today, just know I love you, I cherish you, and I care about you. Thank you so much, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.